Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Lorianne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show. You guys know me as Coach Lorianne. I am a life and business transformational success coach, a #1 international selling author, that is, an award-winning inspirational speaker, and of course a humanitarian. And it lights me up to illuminate, educate, and empower, inspire, and ignite people to find and embrace their life purpose, live their highest vision, and forge a strong foundation to soar to success. And for more information about how to work with me and my team, just visit us at ldcstrategies.com or loriannecasdia.com or coachlorianne.com. We're all pointing to the same place, so not a big deal. On Healthy Lifestyle today, we're going to give you some verbal caffeine to light you up with possibilities. And today on the show, we have Walt Thiessen from LOA Today. Outstanding human I met a couple of weeks ago. Love having you on the show. Welcome to the show, Walt. Really happy to have you here.
Oh my goodness. I mean, after that introduction, first of all, I'm like enlightened to go, sign up with you, for being my coach, for goodness sake, with that kind of intro. Like, how could somebody not sign up with you? But no, seriously, I love this. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. And LOA Today is a podcast, right? It's primarily about feeling better every day of your life, and nominally about the law of attraction, which is LOA, law of attraction. But you don't actually mention that topic very often. And usually you're talking about life, because law of attraction touches life, right? Every area of human life, every day. And I love that it's about living in abundance, right? Living our abundance. It's about what makes up an abundant life and what we can do when we encounter blocks and barriers along the way, which we all do, right?
Sure.
Those challenges. And it's about mindset. And it's always, I love this part, it's always about joy, right? And I love the connection that you make with everybody. So let's talk about your LOA Today podcast. It is so yummy. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, having you on was yummy. That was a wonderful show when you appeared with me, and I had a great time. Yeah, really, really wonderful. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to do this for a little over 10 years now. And fortune actually did play a role in both directions, because you can have good fortune, you can have bad fortune. It's like the old, the parable about good luck, bad luck, who knows, right? The Chinese farmer one. Yeah. It's the same kind of deal. When I got started, I started for me, and I started at a time when podcasts were just they kind of gotten going a little bit. They hadn't really gotten very far. Zoom didn't exist. The other platforms didn't exist yet. You kind of had to figure it out on your own. I was lucky. I had an IT background, so I could figure that stuff out. But I started it because I've been an entrepreneur since 1995 part-time, 2002 full-time. And when the 2008 financial crisis came along, my business became toast instantly. And I was not in mortgages. I was not in real estate. I had nothing to do with what that was all about. I was what they call collateral damage.
Yeah.
Literally, my entire business.
Yeah,
my entire clientele got wiped out. My clientele were very small local nonprofit organizations around the country. And of course, in a financial crisis, nobody gives money to local nonprofit organizations. In fact, their government sponsors usually write them out of business, which is exactly what happened. So my business went poof. And my wife had a gardening business. Her business went poof, and like everything just disappeared instantly. And for the next 4 years, we were just in scramble mode trying to survive. The savings disappeared, deep in debt, all the worst possible nightmares that you can have.
Yeah.
And the thing that really confused, oh yeah, it's awful. And the thing that confused me the most was I wasn't doing anything different.
Yeah.
I was doing what I had always been taught to do and what had seemingly worked before, and I didn't understand why it wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
So I started the podcast figuring, well, I need help. And I can't even afford to hire a coach now. And that was not even in a realm of possibilities. I couldn't even afford to buy a self-help book. I mean, it was really bad.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, I'll start the podcast and I'll bring on all these people who've been successful, and they can teach me what it is that I need to know. And it worked. It worked great. And it led to a series of shows over the next few years where we explored this law of attraction idea in depth, because that was a big piece of what I was missing. I didn't understand how important the mindset was.
Oh my
And
God.
that was the part that was really, really big. So anyway, 400 or 500 episodes later, I kind of figured we'd covered law of attraction by then. But there was an unexpected side benefit, which was I love doing this stuff. This is fun. And
Yeah.
I'm meeting all these great people and they're teaching me all this stuff. And oh, by God, people are actually listening to this thing. I hadn't told you, I forgot with a podcast, people actually sign up to listen to the
Yeah, that's
podcast.
kind of the point, Walt.
It sort of is, but in my case, it wasn't though, because like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah,
I was doing it for me. And then to find out there were other people going through similar kinds of things, having a similar viewpoints, similar mindset to mine. I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool stuff.
yeah,
So I had to keep it going. And that's where I decided, well, law of attraction, like you said, it does touch every area of our lives. So let's just make it about that. And that's
yeah.
how it evolved.
Oh my
So
gosh, that's a beautiful story. You know, so many things in there I could just wrap my mind around. That's so like you gave me so many yummy elements and components. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I don't know where to start.
I know the feeling. Yeah, I do that all the time.
One of the things is, you know, with law of attraction, nothing is an accident. Everything is with purpose. And we all know
Mm,
source, universe, God, however you refer to your higher power, always has our back. So there
mhm.
was no accident that you started a podcast. There was no accident that you had the tools that you did to be able to do the podcast when podcasts really weren't a thing yet. And also cutting edge. You're so cutting edge. You have been all along to be able to do that shift. So big applause for making that shift. And it's out of necessity you made the shift, but
Right.
you made the shift. And I
Yeah.
want to point that out to people because some people are right now are feeling really concerned. And it's like you can make the shift. You just have to kind of ease into it and understand and trust that you will make the right shift. And then you find this fun stuff. Like you have a ball doing this. I can tell you
I
love what
do. Oh God, yes. I can hardly wait for. I've done almost 2,000 episodes, and that's not enough. I
wow.
mean, like this.
I thought it was pretty cool that I'm in season 6 as of
Yeah,
this point. I'm
right.
in season 6 and I'm like, how cool am I? And then I meet you and I'm like, I'm not that cool. But
You're very cool. Don't tell me otherwise. You're extremely cool.
but it's you know it's great to be able to positively impact somebody else. And the law of attraction, if you're not familiar with law of attraction, is you know what we think is what we bring in. We call things into us. So if we're thinking negative things, we're going to call more negative in. It's like attracts like, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're thinking negative, you're going to see more negative. And that's where people go, see, I told you it would happen. Well, yeah, hold it in. Of course it's going to happen. So it's about mindset. And it's funny that you bring up mindset because part of, I have this, I discovered Super Bowl syndrome.
Mm,
And we talk about your bounce, you know, what is your bounce?
right.
And the higher your bounce, the more symptoms you have of Super Bowl syndrome. It's not a bad thing. It's, you know, you don't have to take any antibiotics. It's just once you know that that's what your energetics are, it
Mm,
allows you to understand why you're not getting out of the box. It allows you to harness that energy. And I teach people how to harness that energy so that they can really feel successful and be successful, even though they are while they're doing what they're doing. But remember Super Bowls, these little bouncy
oh
things,
yeah, sure.
they seemingly go all over the place, out of control. It looks like a hot mess, right?
Right. Right.
It really isn't, because if you watch Super Bowls, there's really a pattern to the trajectory and
Mhm.
why it's doing what it's doing. So all I learned was I needed to just take it and harness that energy. So if you take the same Super Bowl and I throw it directly to you, it will get to you because
Mhm.
it's done with intention.
Right.
So that kind of intention is important for the law of attraction, but that also goes back to mindset, like you're talking about. Mindset is just something, it's a behavioral change. So what are beliefs? Beliefs are thoughts we think over and over again, right?
Hmm.
So we can change those thoughts if we choose to, and it's about choice. Nothing you do or any decision you make or any action you take is wrong. It just sends you in a different direction and comes with different, we'll say, circumstances. Some are
Yeah.
good, some are not so good. Some are what
Hmm.
are desirable and some are not what we intended. So it's just about no action we take is for naught. Like you decided to do this, didn't know you were going to be able to do this and learn from it. Brilliant thought pattern behind it. Your mindset was, well, I have a problem. I can't solve it this way because I don't have the money to solve it this way. So I'm going to do this. Brilliant. Brilliant. You solved the problem, and that projected you into speaking to a gazillion people, clearly, over 2,000 podcasts, and have all these followers. And you actually have a team too.
I do. Yeah. I have
Your
co-hosts.
co-host.
I mean, I have a team of co-hosts. I have a stream of guests that come through. It's never a lack of people to talk to. That's one of the things I love the most. Talk about law of attraction. I mean, it's gotten to the point now, I don't even have to think about it. They just kind of show up. They're just there.
But that's a funny thing. That's how it works. That's
Yeah.
how law of attraction works. You think about it and then you leave it alone. Don't
Yeah.
dwell on it. Don't hold tight to it. You just think about it and you put it out there. It's like, this is your wish list, and you put it like look at putting it into like a little bucket, and it sits in the bucket, and then universe picks it up and says, oh, they wanted this. Let me give that to you. Because the law says it has to give you what you want. It's just, you have to be very specific. So if I say to law of attraction, I want to make more money, it'll give me $1. That's more money. That counts.
Well, and not only that, you also made reference to something really important earlier on. You talked about the importance of trust. And when you're in the very early stages, like when I first started the podcast, like I said, I was deep in debt. All the savings was gone. I was feeling desperate. I was not in a positive mindset at all. I was trying to find some way to turn it around. I hope that this whole podcast thing, which was kind of a lark, might actually do something, but I didn't know what it was going to do. I couldn't see how it could actually work, other than maybe, like you said, give me some good teaching that might help me to break through all this stuff. But I couldn't see the root. And that's where the trust came in. It's not, and it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to just trust for this to work. It wasn't like that. It was more like, I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to trust this. I'm out of ideas right now, so I'll just kind of leave this out there. Maybe this can actually do something. It was that.
Yes, but you came up with that idea, and don't think that was done accidentally.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Came up with that idea. There was a reason and purpose behind it. That's part of your purpose, is to communicate with people and allow other people to get your yumminess when they listen to,
Absolutely. Oh, no, I was just trying to make the point that if I had tried to go at this in terms of, okay, this is going to be the solution, I probably would have undermined myself. That would have been those blocks that you were talking about.
Yes, absolutely. And we throw those roadblocks in front of us.
Yeah.
It's a really amazing how we allow some people to say something to us and it stops us from doing what we want to do. One person's opinion, one person's view. I did it.
Take much.
Yeah. I did it years ago. I think we talked about it last time, where I used to be a studio singer, and this vice president said how good I was and going to give me a contract. And then of course came on to me and I was like, no. And then I was the worst performer ever in his, and I bought into it and I took my own voice away for 10 years. No. Shame on me. I allowed that one person to block my dream. And
it's so easy to do, though. That's the thing.
Yes.
It's really so easy. And the harder step is just saying, I don't know if this is the answer. It may not even be the answer. This one that I'm trying right now may not play out, but maybe it leads me to the one that leads me to the one that does play out. And I don't know where that's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's going for the ride, and that's trust, going back to
that's the trust.
Trusting inside of what you're doing and trusting that it'll all work out. And I know that it sounds so simple, but it really is that simple.
It really is. Yeah. And the funny thing is, when you're in the midst of it, and you tell me if this was true for you when you were dealing with your stuff. For me, now, first of all, I had no trust in my own inner dialogue at that point. I had not developed that at all.
Me too.
And yet I did have this, I couldn't call it a feeling, well, sort of a feeling. I had the sense that it was somehow right. It was somehow a good thing.
We call that intuition.
That's intuition. But I didn't know it was intuition.
Yes.
That's my point. If you get a feeling that somehow it's right, follow it.
Yeah, there's that yummy feel. Actually, it's a good feeling. It's just like, I don't know why, but I feel like doing that. Have you ever sat there and go, I need to go back into the house. I'm not sure why. Oh,
sure.
The good thing I did because blah, blah, blah. That's intuition. That's right. Listening to our inner self, our inner guidance that will lead us the right way if we pay attention. And our society tries to separate us from our intuition and makes everything external.
In fact, that's a good clue right there, what you just said, because if you have this feeling inside and something outside, a person, society as a whole, an institution, whatever, is telling you don't trust it, that's probably your best clue to trust it.
Yes. And when you trust, magical things happen. I left a job a 6-figure job. I walked away from it. I was done. Something happened and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was always the girl that had one foot in this door and one foot in that door. And when this door was good, I took the foot out of the first door. I
Right.
was always that person to make sure I had a job before I left a job. And this I left. And I just trusted that
Good for
everything,
you, by the way.
and everything did work out. And,
Yeah.
I have my own company and I'm in a good place and I wrote a book and I have my own radio show and, blah, blah, blah. And that's all because I took that courageous step of saying, you know what, I'm drawing a line in the sand, no more. I'm not
And it was scary, wasn't it? I mean, I know it was scary for me. It's terrifying.
terrifying. I was waiting. First of all, I was looking around, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right,
I had
exactly.
the nervous breakdown.
Yes.
That's one. And two, I wasn't sure what was going to happen the next day, but I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Take a deep breath, trust, and it does work out because I learned that source has our back. God, source, higher power, whatever your higher
Right.
power has our back, no matter what, and is not going to let us fail. We just have to pay attention to the signs, and I was. And the signs were, somebody called me up and said, hey, Lorianne, could you do blah, blah? Yes. So I went into a year of saying yes to everything. I would say yes, even if I don't want to do this, but that yes led me to something else, which ended up having me turn into, from a marketing expert into a coach. My marketing expertise helps the foundation for all my clients, but my coaching was where the yumminess is. That's where I get my joy, is watching the success people go on to have as a result of us working together. That is so yummy. And I take all of those life experiences to help serve the people I'm serving today. So just think about it, guys. Every experience you've had in your life since you were little are all tools that we're putting in our tool belt. And every job you go to, you're dragging these other tools that help you for the very job or career you're in right now. And it is amazing when you put those dots together.
It is. I think it's also important to remember something else too, and that is it's not a smooth path. And especially in those earliest steps that you take,
Oh, no.
it's not like the doors open and, oh my God, the success just showed up. There's often like long stretches of time where nothing seems to happen and nothing seems to improve. And and you're constantly keeping score, which by the way is the worst thing to do, but we do it anyway, because that's who we are as humans. We keep score, and the score is always against us. We're always scoring 0 and the rest of the world is scoring 100. It just feels like that.
Yeah, even though you are scoring like 1,000,
You are, but you don't know it.
Credit for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes you, that's why only 8% of the population has the level of success that they want. 8% of the population actually take action. That means 92% of the population are thinking about it. They want to do it. Their intention is really good. They're just not taking that action because of fear.
Yeah.
Fear keeps us in a box. And that
fear,
you're not trusting.
Fear is an odd thing. It's real and it's unreal at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it feels really real. Like, oh my God, what am I in a horror movie? And yet it's also FEAR, false evidence appearing real. It's both.
Yes.
That's really confusing.
Yes. And here, let me blow your mind. Fear is the same thing as stress. It's just a different word.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Stress is merely fear. So if you look at the two synonymously, you will see that it's the same thing. And it's just a way to keep us small, keep us down, and keep us in a little box. None of us need to be in a box. Matter of fact, I'm trying to break the box. I'm trying to make sure we don't put each other in a box. Law of attraction does that.
Isn't it interesting too? I love the equation of fear and stress. Isn't it interesting how there can be negative stress and there can be positive stress?
Yes.
There can also be negative fear and there can be positive fear. There can be fear that helps you get where you want to go, which is really odd.
Or keep you out of peril. That's
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, that's positive fear. But some people are fearful to leave their houses still.
Yeah.
That's not good fear. That is isolation fear, and that is not good at all. And we are not meant to be isolated. We're meant to have conversations like this and learn from each other and get that yumminess. Like, I know I'm vibrating like crazy right now because our conversations are always so yummy, delicious, and we're all in that same really happy place. That's the other thing. Do you get this, Walt? That you're just a nutcase. You're like always happy. Do you get that sometimes? Because I get that. Some people
Well,
say
well,
that.
Lorianne, honestly, I've been a nutcase since I was born.
Yeah,
So this is not a new phenomenon, but but yeah, sure.
the
I don't
terminology
think I
is I march to my own drummer, and I'm like, listen.
yeah, yeah. I think I've been doing it long enough now that I don't even notice when people say that. I think they're still saying it. I just don't even hear it anymore.
Yeah, well, it's none of our business what anybody else thinks. But in the meantime, you're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. We're here with Walt Thiessen. Unbelievable conversation about law of attraction and all other yummy stuff. We're going to take a short break. We will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, and we're here today with Walt Thiessen. So excited. But if you want to be a guest or lift up your business or product or non-for-profit, or if you have a question or comment, feel free to reach out to us. Email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. Let me slow it down for your non-New Yorkers. healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. Hopefully you got your pencil by then. We would love to chat with you. We answer every email. Personally, I answer it just to have the conversation. Love reaching out, love hearing from you all. So feel free. Would love to chat with you. In the meantime, we're back speaking with Walt. Walt, we left off with, the realization that fear and stress are the same, but there is good fear and there is good stress. I mean, give an example of good stress.
An example of good stress.
Yeah.
A way I like to think about it is this. We think often of stress as being a physical ailment or a physical phenomenon, which it
Well,
can
it
be.
manifests to that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But stress can also be where we give our attention to. Like I put stress on a word when I say it in a sentence. That's a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
So for me, good stress is intentional stress.
Yeah.
Stress
Yeah.
is where I decide to put my intention.
Yeah, I love that. For me, it's I have stress, but it's good stress because I'm busy. And
Mhm.
being busy is good stress. So I'm in my happy place, but is it a little stress? Yeah, because I have to make sure everything works and I'm doing what I need to do for my client. That's good stress for me.
Yeah. In fact, I would say that kind of stress rarely is destructive in any way.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stress that can actually energize you rather than tear you down,
Yeah. That
which
goes
is
back to
interesting.
the vibration.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Goes back to the vibration, but bad stress and bad fear, those things, and we have fear. Listen, we have this element in our head. I don't know the technical name, nor do I care, but we have this element in our head that keeps us protected that says, warning, 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 Dr. Smith, for those people who are old enough to know the reference. It really keeps us out of peril. Otherwise, we wouldn't move out of the way of a car when it was coming at us, or
Yeah.
we wouldn't know to do something different if we have a big black bear in front of us. So we have to have that, but we also have to know when it's right and when it's not right. And that's the difference between that good stress and that good fear versus the bad stress and the bad fear. We have to know if we can use it and benefit from it, or if it is a protective agent. Sometimes I think we hide behind it as a protective agent, which goes into what my book is named and going to be about, is our justifiable excuses. Well,
Oh, I like that.
yeah, justifiable excuses. Well, if I do this and everybody looks at it and says, oh, that's important, then I don't have to do this because I don't know where to go. And that's where a lot of my clients come in, is that they are doing justifiable excuses. Lorianne, I'm so busy, but I can't seem to get any traction. Okay, let's talk about what you're doing. And I'll give you an example of mine. And this is how I found Super Bowl syndrome. One day, I have an office in my house as well as an office outside, but the office inside my house, I found myself on a Wednesday afternoon folding laundry. Walt, I hate folding laundry. I hate it.
Okay.
All right. But it's a necessity. It's good for my family. It's a justifiable excuse. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I'm like, why am I doing this? It's Wednesday. This is something I usually do Saturday mornings with the laundry, blah, blah, blah. I'm a schedule girl. I'm a block
Oh, okay.
scheduler. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Well, it was a justifiable excuse. For 2.5 weeks, I was avoiding making a phone call. and I didn't want to
Um,
get the no. So if I didn't make the call, I didn't get the no.
that's right. You can't get the no if you don't make the call. Yeah.
But the no is the same no on the first day, or 2.5 weeks later, or 2.5 months later, or 7 years later. A no is a no,
Isn't
right?
that annoying? The same no doesn't go away. It's still a no.
No, it's so annoying, but I'd rather have it on day one and not waste 2.5 weeks. Well, P.S. I
Uh,
forced myself to go back to my office. I make that phone call, and don't you know, Walt, it's an easy yes. It was
of
like
course.
instantaneous. Yeah, no, no problem. Damn. I
It's
just,
kind of shocking, right? When that
yeah,
happens.
because I went catastrophic as opposed to
Yeah.
anastrophic. I wasn't thinking positively. That's anastrophic. I went catastrophic. Well, if they say no, then this, and I can't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And they said yes. And I was just like, I was kind of annoyed that they said yes, because now I can't justify the 2.5 weeks I avoided that phone call. So
Right.
yet another justifiable excuse, right? So I was happy, and but then I started thinking, how many of these things do we do that are
Oh, God, all the
justifiable
time.
excuses?
God.
All the time. Oh, I have to do this now. I don't know what to do here. I don't know. I don't know what my next step is. And that's where, having a coach, having accountability partner, or
Huge.
recognizing it. Part of, two major tools for me, I've seen, is awareness, being aware that you do this. Because when I find myself doing it, I'm like, excuse me. And I can hold myself accountable because I'm aware of it. And that's where, having somebody, an accountability partner, be it a coach, a best friend, someone you can trust, and who will be honest but kind, and not shed some of their fears on you, right?
Right. That's where a coach is good, because coaches are trained to do exactly that.
Exactly. So, and we just point things out. We don't tell you if it's right or wrong, because no, again, you're always making the right decisions for you at the time. At the time. Where you are is perfectly in the perfect place, like we are right now having this conversation. But being aware and having accountability are two things that are important. I actually made a post recently, and the post said, the best boss for an entrepreneur is a deadline. It's accountability. It's
Mhm.
accountability, right? So
Mhm.
awareness and accountability. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on what your mindset is going into the deadline. I mean, if your mindset is that deadline is going to be a great accountability factor, then it is, and it will be. It's guaranteed. And if your mindset is, oh God, I can't handle that deadline, then it's going to not be productive. It's going to be counterproductive. So
But
what's your mindset coming in? It comes down to what you're
P.S.
thinking.
P.S. You're making the deadline, so why would that be difficult? So you have to make it a non-negotiable.
Mm,
Got to
mm.
make it a non-negotiable. So when you're making the deadline, be mindful. Is this realistic, right? So it goes back to SMART, right? Is this realistic? Can you attain it? Is this, and if it's not attainable, push the deadline out if you can.
Well, I think that's the key point, what you said, that you're the one setting the deadline. And I think that's part of the mindset piece, because if you're setting the deadline, first of all, are you setting the appropriate deadline for yourself?
Yeah.
Is it a deadline that fits you? If it doesn't feel good, it probably isn't.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you said. That's yummy. If it doesn't feel good here in the
Right,
heart, in the chest, in your intuition, that's where the intuition lies,
right.
then it's probably not. Yeah, that's going back into tapping into the intuition, which you did.
Yeah.
You intuitively knew that you needed to do something, didn't know what the outcome was, so you weren't held on to that outcome. You also were under all this stress. You could have gone from a place of lack, from a place of scarcity. You didn't. What made you not go from that place? I'm sure you had moments of it. We all do.
I've thought about that over the years, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think the best answer I can give is I had run through every other possibility and I couldn't think of any other possibilities. I was kind of like in my last step. I had
Okay.
nothing else to do after this. So I'm going to try this, because what the heck? It can't do anything worse than anything else that's happened so far. Let's just try it.
You had nothing to lose
I had nothing
mindset.
to lose.
What a great mindset.
It was,
Again,
it was all gone already. There was nothing left to lose.
yeah. So you had that connectivity back to, again, it all goes back to mindset.
Yeah,
You had nothing to lose. So you were like, what the heck? I'm going to try it.
exactly.
I love
Exactly.
it. And with nothing to lose, there were no limitations. So you were limitless.
Although I didn't necessarily know that.
Yes, of course.
I think it's really important.
Because you didn't have
We
a
have this
means to point
tendency.
that out to you.
Well, yeah, exactly. We often get ourselves. You use a great term, a technical term. I'm not going to try to go down your technical path because you obviously know that better than I do. But I have a friend who calls that same process awfulizing, taking a situation and making it as awful as you can possibly make it by playing out every
Catastrophic.
awful scenario in your own mind.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
really, really skilled at that. We're all very, very skilled. We have years of practice. And it gets to the point where we can actually just freeze ourselves in our own steps because we've awfulized everything so much that we're terrified of everything. We're terrified of our own shadow at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's called catastrophic, but it's also known as worst case scenario. I was
Yeah.
brought up to consider worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Lorianne, you're a good Girl Scout if you prepare for the worst case scenario. So I was always preparing for the worst case scenario. But again, back to law of attraction, what was I bringing in by thinking? There's one thing being prepared and saying, I am preparing to make sure, okay, what could the worst case happen? And I ask people who are afraid to take that step forward, like, if you try this, if you tried doing this podcast, Walt, at that time, what was the worst case that could have happened?
The worst case that could have happened is that I had tried it and I couldn't get any guests and I couldn't learn anything.
So what happened? Did you change who you were? Did you lose your feathers? What happened? Did
No,
you die?
I found some guests.
You found guests. Yes.
It was just pretty simple. It was straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, we're going worst case. I like the awfulness. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, awfulizing. That I credit that to Joel Elston. He came up with that term, and I think it's fabulous.
That's fantastic. I love it. I'm so stealing it. So let him know.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and he has given me license to give it to people like you. So feel free.
Oh, awesome! Thank you, and thank you when you see him. But it's that kind of, and again, all goes back to what mindset.
Yeah,
Mindset.
that's right.
We have actual complete control of everything that we do. If we take 100% responsibility, if we stop the blame game. Oh, it's bad weather. No,
boy, that's huge. Stopping that blame game. Oh my God.
that blame game is terrible. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's my teachers. Oh, it's my parents. Oh, it's, people are being mean to me. Let's stop it. Just stop it.
I can give you something that really made a big difference for me in terms of stopping that blame game. Because the blame game is based on morality, ethics. It's based on what's right and what's wrong and all that kind of thing.
What you think is, yeah.
And so I said, I was doing a conversation with one of my co-hosts, Cindy Chavez, and she pointed out, well, why are we thinking about it that way? Why don't we change the way we think about it? And I said, what do you mean? She says, well, instead of thinking about things as being right or wrong or good or bad, let's think of them as preferred or not preferred, liked or not liked.
Yes.
And I thought, whoa, that's powerful, because now we've just taken all of the negative angst out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another way to think of it. So in order to learn what we want, we have to understand what we don't want. So if we don't have the don't wants, we never learn what we want. Think about it. Think about it. I don't like spinach. Have you ever tried it? No. How do you know? Okay, I'll try it. Nope, I don't like, I do actually, I love spinach, but now that, I love spinach. So it was something that was in the yes column, but we have to try it. And unless we're trying things, you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
So the word can't, I really try to have people learn to say, instead of can't, I want you to do the law of replacement. Replace that word can't with won't. Because the truth is you can if you wanted to, but you don't want to. So just be honest with yourself and say won't. I won't do that. I won't do that. And if you feel the need to explain yourself, which we are taught, we were brought up in school to explain ourselves. Why won't you do that? And so we automatically do that. I actually had somebody stayed with me. I was on Davis Park. It's an island over here off of Long Island. It's on Fire Island. And we were there for our summer vacation. I rent a house there, used to. Now I have a house in South Carolina. We go there. But anyway, so I go to Davis Park, and they come over and they want to stay another day, and they want to call out, and they had never called out from work before. And they were like, well, I want to call out of work, but I can't. And I was like, wait, stop. You use that C word. I don't even understand that. I can't even wrap my head around it. I said, why not? He goes, well, what am I going to tell him? I said, just tell him you're not coming in today. And he goes, can I do that? I said, do you have days off? He goes, yeah. And I said, so why don't you just take your day off? So just call up and say, I won't be in today. Not I won't be in today because I have cough. That's not good, right?
Yeah.
I said, you don't have to go in. I'm not coming in today because I really love it on the beach and I want to stay another day. That probably won't go over well for long-term employment, right? I said, just call up and say that you won't be in today. So he goes, okay. And he paced for about 2 minutes and I was just do it. So he picked up the phone, he made the phone call. He said, whatever the person's name is who picked up, I won't be in today. And they were like, okay, see you tomorrow. And he hung up and he was like, he almost like had a meltdown there. It was similar to the yes response to my phone call. It's like, what do I do now? It's like, he goes, I can't believe that it worked.
I love that story for two reasons. First of all, I love how you turned the can't into the won't, but then you also took it another step further. The step further was, if that's what you won't do, what will you do?
Yes.
I love that. Because we
Yes.
so often forget that part. Well, if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do instead?
Yes, there's a law of replacement. It's like, okay,
Right.
that's fine. And that's where choice comes in. And that's where we're empowered to make and take 100% responsibility of our choices. So when you're thinking in the won't or will mindset, that changes how life comes out for you, because now it's no longer I'm enslaved, it's I'm empowered. I'm making a choice. Can't feels like you're not making the choice. Somebody else is making it for you. Won't or will, you're making that choice with
By the way,
intention.
it just occurs to me, this is like not directly related, but it's kind of tangential. And you know how we get approached at various times in our lives by people who are coming out of the blue with something that we're really not interested in. It could be like politics, it could be Jehovah's Witnesses, it could be almost anything, that's like, well, that's not really in my bailiwick, but they come at you with that, whatever that stuff is. And most of the time, most of us are looking for strategies for, okay, let's just kind of put that aside, thank you, but no thank you, which is great, nothing wrong with that. But if on those rare occasions where you want to be able to interact, but you don't want to play their little game, there's a fun thing you can do along this line, what we're talking about here.
Sure.
And that is they propose something to you, which is almost invariably proposed in negative format. We
Sure.
don't want this. We're against that. We're stopping this. Ask them to tell you what they want instead. They will invariably follow up with, well, I want to not have this. I want to not have that. No, take the not out. Tell me what you actually want instead. And then
Yes.
watch them stutter over their own words, trying to figure out what to say. It's very amusing.
And then suddenly they just want to get away from you instead of you
Right.
wanting to get away from them. So true, so true. And that's the really yummy part about being a coach too, is those word games that you can really turn it around and have people look in it from I always call it
Yeah.
changing your lens. Look at it with a different set of lens. It's like, it's what you will do or won't do, and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Be honest. And it's not about anybody else. It's all about being honest with yourself. And when you start here, change starts here. Gandhi, change starts with us.
That's right.
Right. So if you change here by sheer leadership and action, you're showing other people how to do it better.
And there's
So
the vibrational aspect to that too, because we know how vibration works with law of attraction.
yes.
Like attracts like. If you have a high vibration, not only is it helping you, but you're passing it along to anybody else who's in the immediate vicinity, and people who aren't even in the vicinity because they heard you on a podcast or they read something that you wrote in a post somewhere or something that you put on social media. The vibration just continues onward.
Without a doubt. So I challenge all the listeners for the next week, just 7 days. Every time you use the word can't, I want you to stop yourself, replace it with won't, see what happens, see how it changes your life. I'm going to challenge, and I'm challenging you, Walt, to do that too. Although I don't hear the word can't come out of your mouth. You're so positive. Your languaging is so positive.
I make it a point to do what you just said, and also wherever I can remember to take it to what will I do instead? I love that flip. That's a fun exercise to learn how to do. How often can I flip whatever it is I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and again, what does that go back to? Awareness.
Awareness, mindset.
When you're aware of the language you use, when you're aware of, and like you'll hear me say languaging, right? When you're aware of your own languaging, when you're aware of your own actions, now you're really taking responsibility. And it's those little tweaks that make a difference. Words count, words matter. One of the things I like about what Anthony, my life partner, says, and I hated it at the beginning, and I was like, stop saying that. He would say when he didn't want to do something, he goes, that doesn't work for me. And I was like, that's so annoying. What does that mean? Because it's a hard stop. And I love that. Now I use it all the time. Is that doesn't work for me. What it does is it doesn't say what you're doing, what you want to do, Walt, is bad or wrong. It says, I just don't want to do it. without saying can't or won't or anything like that. That doesn't work for me. It's a hard stop. You can't even get around that. Try.
Not really. No.
That doesn't work for me. Oh, okay. Now what?
And
That's
I've
why
had
they
people
don't
get pissed at me. I think you probably have too, but I've had people get pissed at me for saying that.
Oh yeah, I have too. That
Because I've ruined their agenda, whatever their agenda was, you know.
Yeah, because we're always trying to manipulate somebody to do something for them. And in the meantime, it's just like, yeah, no, I don't know. But it goes back to what you want, what you don't want, knowing the different ends of that stick. There's only two ends of the stick. Goes to two choices. That's my chapter, New Dream. You only two choices, what you will do and what you won't do.
Yes.
It's not what you will do and what you can't do. It's what you won't do. You know, it's stop or go. It's move or don't move.
That's such an important thing too, taking that can't out, because you laid it out really nicely, but that can't is actually, like you said earlier, I'll rephrase it. It's an excuse to not take action.
Justifiable excuse to not take action. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a blame. It's a blame.
And blaming yourself, which is the worst part.
Yeah, it's a blame. It's a blame. And it's just, well, I'm trying to be polite. Won't sounds harsh. You're not being polite by saying can't. No. We're not disguising. Everybody knows what you mean. So just be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with someone else. And if that doesn't work, use that doesn't work with you. That's a great phrase. That's a full stop. And I love it. Oh my gosh, Walt, I cannot believe our time has come to an end. What's your why? Why do you do what you do? Real quick.
Oh my God, why do I do what I do? I don't have enough time for that one. All I can suggest is this. If you want to find out what I do, tune into the podcast. You can find LOA Today anywhere. You can find all the podcasts.
LOA.com. Go visit Walt.
.net. No, it's actually a .net.
Oh,
it's not
.net. I'm so sorry.
.net. Yeah.
.net. LOAtoday.com.
.net.
Again. Oh my gosh. LOAtoday.net.
That's the one.
You know what? The information will be below this. Don't worry about it. All the right links will be there. Just go over, see Walt, follow him. It will become addictive. I'm telling you, I started listening and now I keep going backwards in the podcasts of his, because I started today and I'm working backwards. And you're brilliant. You're really wonderful. You're a wonderful interview. And I love hanging out with you. I would love to invite you back to be one of my quarterly coaches in my coaching corner. I would love.
How could I resist that? I mean, come on. That's a no-brainer.
Awesome. And I did it on air, so you can't back out.
That's true. Well, I won't try. Believe me. I'm loving this. This is
fun. I love this time together. Thank you so much for today, Walt. You're just brilliant. And thank you all today for joining us on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank Walt Thiessen for being on with us today and sharing his yumminess. And I really hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you again for joining us. Look for our show next Saturday. Until next time, play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up big. Have a great day.